I'll get comfy, Rainy. You're going for a swim soon.
I'm going into a bit today, though. I don't want them babies to get too warm if there is any more.
I don't love that.
Ulverston in Cumbria has been home to 22-year-old
Can't it melt them?
Kyle McTavish for most of his
Can't
life.
it melt them?
Don't want it too hot.
Ulverston's a small community, everyone knows.
Have you only got one thing in that dryer?
The two little sisters.
What?
Another big part of my life is my girlfriend's son. She recently moved into a family home.
I've got one thing in the fucking
Life on
dryer.
a quiet cul-de-sac
Did
for
you not
Kyle
figure out
and
what
his
were in
family
chocolates
was
up?
good. And over the years, they had always got on well with the next door neighbour, Susan Broadbent.
Went to school with her daughter, quite good friends with her. Yeah, she was a good neighbour. If I got looked at my house, she would invite me in. She even went to my mum's wedding. She was the driver of the car because we really liked the car.
But a couple of years ago, something in the
There's
quiet,
nothing in the
friendly
tub.
street
Nothing.
changed.
Alright, don't matter. I'm not filling it up.
No, just get
No.
a bar out for you, what you
I'm
want
not going to
now.
fill it up because this is what I'm saying.
I'm not filling it up.
I filled it on Tuesday Wednesday when I did shopping. Wednesday. It's only Sunday. So from that, and that's a bigger tub.
Maybe you're not getting any of that.
So from Wednesday,
Oh no, yeah, this is.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
That's what's left in it.
3 days empty tub.
That's what's left in it.
I thought you just said it's empty.
Yeah, well, the more or less empty.
But they soon started to get
I
the
don't
feeling
want
that
that
the
in the bag.
taste with next
So do you
door
want a twirl?
No, I'll fill it on Tuesday now.
We'll have the...
One day, my mum went to a neighbour,
Alright.
and the neighbour said that Sue had got
What are you doing?
a letter
What?
from council.
Yeah, they're eating way too much chocolate.
Well, too much Wednesday.
The neighbour said,
I filled that Wednesday.
Did some Kit Kats open in the cupboard?
And it's
I
massive.
thought it was a little bit strange, because we can't
Got a
see
Kit
it.
Kat?
I'll just have one of them then.
I'll have a Kit Kat
tried
too.
to ignore the allegation,
I've one of
and
them,
Kyle
yeah.
remained friends with Sue's daughter. But on a night out, he took the opportunity to find out more.
I went to meet Sue's daughter, because she watched one of the pubs, and I see Sue sitting there, so I thought, this is it. So I
The
thought,
Kit Kats that are in the cupboard
why are you playing my family?
have been hidden in the cupboard. Someone pulled them out and they
Didn't
don't...
take Kyle's direct
I
approach
put
well.
one near the
Can I have one?
chocolate
Go
roll.
on, it too.
I'm not.
Why? What?
Can I have one, he said? Throw it too.
There's only 2. Well, there should have been more than that.
You've had two and
I
I've had
put
two.
one on each. How many's in a pack?
I don't know.
I've not had one.
4 each pack.
7.
Shocked at Sue's outburst, Kyle and his family made a difficult decision.
After that night, I decided to cut ties with Sue and her daughter. Because after all the insults, I think it's just too much.
Who threw
One
it at me?
anonymous complaint to the council had ended Kyle's family's friendship with Sue. But ignoring her wasn't as easy as they'd hoped.
It was a lovely day. Two little sisters outside in the fall at the time, just playing peacefully on the swings. Just having a whale of a time outside, absolutely perfect. Next thing you know, I can see them screaming, running inside. What the? I thought, what on earth has actually happened out there?
Kyle rushed outside to investigate, and he immediately noticed something out of place in the border hedge.
Just about here was a big massive hole towards more her side, and that's where I saw her with the cat and lamb.
Sue was hiding behind the hedge with an ultrasonic cat repeller.
I think it was cat and lamb because the ring in my ears, it was just awful. Like, it was like ear piercing.
A cat repeller is a device that lets off a high-pitched noise when it detects movement. It's a noise that children are particularly sensitive to.
It was absolutely awful. So if I could hear it, God knows what the little kids could hear it.
Convinced that Sue had used the alarm to upset the children, Kyle and his mum were furious.
I thought it was absolutely disgusting that someone can actually just be there taking enjoyment out of like traumatising little kids. My two little sisters were petrified of the whole situation. There were tears streaming down their face. They didn't know what to make of it.
But little did Kyle and his family know how far Sue was willing to go. worst off,
She doesn't like
Sarah
them.
Lewis had been on the receiving end of a seemingly random and unprovoked attack by neighbour Russell George after he spat at her in the street.
Knowing that he actually did it on purpose and directly at me, that angered me.
Is it
Sarah had
small
no
with her
idea
eye?
why Russell was
she's got
behaving in
eye.
such a strange way, but it wasn't just directed at her. Her 25-year-old son Mikey was also on the receiving end.
On several occasions, as my son and his partner were leaving the house, the
blinding
window
one
would
eye.
come open next door, and you hear, "Fuck off, you bastard," or a spit. And we had no understanding, you know, what was going on, why had it gone like this? It starts to play on your mind, you know, it keeps you awake at night, you can't sleep. You know, what have we done?
And sick of the constant abuse from next door, Mikey decided to take matters into his own hands.
My son wrote a letter to Mr. George to find out if there was anything that we had done to upset him, if there was any issues. We just wanted to know. It was just such a pleasant letter. I was really, you know, I was quite humbled by my son's words.
Mikey hoped Russell George would take the opportunity to air any grievances he may have had.
He posted it in Mr. George's doorway through the letterbox, and he walked straight back.
But the letter wasn't received well.
And by the time my son had got hit to this stage, he was aware that somebody was coming behind him.
Russell George had rushed straight out of his door, intent on showing Mikey just what he thought of his letter.
And what Mr. George did was throw the envelope in the doorway, like that, past my son, and then walked and ran back into the house. And that was it. He hadn't opened up the letter. He never made any attempt to open up the letter or read it whatsoever. We tried to talk to him as he was walking back, but he wasn't interested.
It's a fake
He
eye.
simply just shut the door.
What?
That was a lazy eye, or she's blinded up.
It's a glass
Sarah and
eye.
Mikey desperately tried to think of
Watch
reasons
it.
why Russell George was targeting them.
It came to mind that with my son being mixed race, that Russell might be sort of being racially abusive towards my son. And I just found it very disturbing, you know, that I'm possibly living next to somebody who has that mindset.
In a bid to protect her son, Sarah contacted the police, who advised her to get evidence of Russell George's behaviour. Mikey got on the case and was determined to catch him in the act. And it didn't take long.
One day, I was at work, my son came and stood here, and he watched Mr. George walk down from the top of the street, thought, well, I'll get him. So he got his phone and started recording. Then I got a phone call to say that I'd just got him. Mr. George walked right down the pavement here and spat at my car. He leant himself back and thrusted forward this spit. And of course,
Bastard.
with my car being parked pretty much where it is at the moment, it landed on my car.
Mikey was actively building up a collection of evidence for the police. And one day, there was something even more repulsive waiting for them at their back gate.
Basically, some dog poo had been smeared right into the actual airlock.
But that wasn't all.
There was dog poo that had been laid very strategically all around here. 9, 10 lumps of poo. So if in the dark and you weren't aware, you would open up the gate and literally you would stand straight in it. It made my skin crawl. You know, it disgusted me, to be honest with you. Why somebody would want to do that, you know, it's just shocking.
But despite everything, Sarah was determined to use her house and garden as normal. And one day, whilst trying to make the most of the sunshine with friends,
I was stood here as I am now, having a chat with my two friends here, and then all of a sudden, I heard the window open, and why don't you just fuck off? And we just stood here in shock. You don't expect to go and stand out in your own back garden and to be abused like that.